Hi, I'm Dawn Clark, and I'm here to share with you about Smart Math Help. If you're a parent looking to figure out how you can better support your students in math, this is the session for you. So what is AI? In simple plain English, it's not magic. I want you to think of AI as simply a really helpful assistant or a smart calculator. It's the same technology that recommends to you what you could watch on Netflix or that voice that you speak to for Siri or Alexa. Today we're going to focus on using AI as a tool to help your child with math. What are we going to focus on? We're going to look at three key areas. We're going to look at using AI to help build your child's math fluency. Secondly, to ensure math comprehension. And I'm sure you can think of a time when you reached out to your child's math teacher to say, they need extra practice. Can you give me something? AI can do that for you. And we're going to talk about how that could work. So parent role, here's what I want you to focus on. When we're using AI, you're going to be the guide. And AI is just one of the tools that you can call on. So let's first take a look at fluency. What is fluency? Fluency is helping them practice to build that quick recall of math facts. If you have ever heard of Khan Academy or maybe Khanmigo, there are others, but Khan Academy is a free tool that you can use online, and it's an app that will actually embed AI to help your child develop math fluency. So for example, if your child is doing some of the practice questions on Khan Academy and they're struggling, it's going to adjust the following questions so that they are getting just a little bit easier questions. Maybe some of those prerequisite skills that they're going to need to start getting the questions correct. And on the other end of the spectrum, if they're doing really well and they're getting all the questions really fast and correct, it's going to start making questions a little more challenging so it can build their skill even further. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but you could use AI to actually make a game for your child to practice math. If you were to prompt it to say something like, act as a Math Jeopardy host, give my fourth grader 5 questions about multiplication, it's going to create that for you. And then you can have those questions asked to your child to give your child a little bit more fun practice. Consider creating 10 questions for speed math quiz on adding fractions. AI can do that for us. We just have to be smart about the way we use it. Next thing I want us to think about is using AI to deepen their comprehension, their understanding. And this is really key. We don't want to use AI to just be an answer giver. We really want to be able to use it to deepen their comprehension. We want it to be able to help explain how the math works. So think of it this way, of using AI as a tutor rather than an answer key. So we wouldn't want to ask AI, what is the answer to 2/3 plus 1/4? But instead, we're going to ask, explain how to add 2/3 and 1/4. My child is confused about common denominators, so that it gives those additional steps and just carefully, step by step, gives them an understanding of how it ought to work. Another idea is, we know that some kids, not mine, maybe yours, I'm lying, mine too. Some kids find math a little bit boring. So what can we do to spice it up? How about asking for new perspectives? So coming up with analogies to help build their understanding, or coming up with creative ways of giving them the practice. Maybe your child loves Minecraft. So let the questions that it creates be a Minecraft theme. Maybe they're a visual learner, so you're going to ask it to describe how to draw this word problem. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look at prompting, because prompting makes all the difference. The way you ask AI, the specificity of how you ask will give you better and better responses. And we're going to do it in 3 panels. We're going to look at grade 1 to 3, grade 4 to 5, and then we're going to look at grade 6 to 8. So starting with grade 1 to 3. This is the age that's all about number sense and making math concrete. We're going to focus on looking at understanding, explaining, and practice. And these are going to be some sample prompts that you could use. If you're like me, when you learned addition and subtraction, you learned about carrying the one or borrowing. But these days, you might have noticed your child is coming home talking about number bonds and part whole. So if you're going to prompt AI to be able to understand the way that your child's teacher is teaching it, you might say something like this. Explain number bonds or part whole like I'm a parent who learned carrying the one. That's going to give you a lot of the background information that you need to really help your child understand what your teachers are talking about, instead of looking at it and saying, well, this is not how I learned it. I'm going to show you my way, because that additional method might throw your child off when they're trying to do the in-class work at school. Maybe another one might be, what is regrouping in subtraction? Show me a step-by-step example with 42 minus 17. Now think about it. Subtraction is a huge topic. They learn subtraction in grade 1 all the way up to grade 8, but it looks different in every grade. So you want to be really specific about the type of question when you're prompting AI for a response. Giving an example like that, 42 minus 17, is a great way to do it. It's going to give the AI an understanding of the level of work that it needs to produce for you. Then if we look at explaining, we want to try to use their world. So this is where, again, we might go back to adding a theme. So maybe you're going to say, how can I use Lego blocks or coins to show 3 times 4? If your kid loves Lego, then you want to use the theme that applies best for them. The practice, I mentioned it before. We always want to be able to provide our child additional practice and make it fun, make it something they like. So a prompt might look like, create 5 simple word problems for a first grader. Notice that specific grade that's mentioned, using addition to 20. So we're not going up to hundreds. We're trying to make sure it meets the level that your child is working at. And make them about animals, because you know your child likes animals. Samples for grade 4 and 5. Now here is when multiplication, division, and fractions start to build into their learning. Again, same idea. We're just going to hit to understand, to explain, and to practice, and these are some simple prompts that you might think about using. How about explain the area model or box method, because it's sometimes called both, for multiplication. How is it different from the standard way I learned? Now think about the fact that the AI may respond to you and say, what way did you learn, so that it can give you a better answer, and be prepared to answer that. Then looking at the explain. If a 4th grader doesn't understand how to count by halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, eighths, and tenths, use an analogy using pizza or a chocolate bar to help explain this. So giving the AI some specifics to help you come up with what you think is going to be helpful in explaining this math to your child is going to be super helpful and give you a better response. And then of course, back to practicing and making it fun, you can create 3 word problems about area and perimeter that are related to building in Minecraft. Again, you switch out Minecraft for whatever your child is into. Then when we get up to grades 6 and 8, this stage starts to focus on pre-algebra, ratios, and more complex problems. But we can still reach out to AI for that help in understanding, explaining, and coming up with practice. So maybe it's integers we're looking at, and you want to be able to explain, why does the double negative become a plus? You can ask AI to help you with that. Explain how to add and subtract negative numbers. And just ask exactly what you need to know. Why is 5 subtract negative 2 the same as 5 plus 2? And it can give you a step-by-step explanation. And the more precision you want, you can say, give me a step-by-step explanation so that you get all the steps you need. When I'm looking at bed mass, maybe you can't remember how it worked. You did it before, but now you haven't done it for years, so why would you remember it? Ask it for a refresher. I need a simple refresher on the order of operations, and you can put in bed mass, or maybe you called it PEMDAS, depending on where you were from. Why does it matter? Ask AI to help you to make that connection to the math that your child is learning. And again, I want to emphasize that you're not handing your computer over to your child and having them interact with the AI themselves. You need to know your child and whether they can handle that. But there are many students who aren't ready for that type of responsibility yet. So what we're endorsing here is you as the parent, you're the guide, and you are using it to help you understand so that you can support your child in the learning. And let's look at the last 2 examples. If a 7th grader has this homework problem, 2x plus 5 equals 17, what's a good first question I can ask to help them get started? Little things like that, if you're not sure how to support your child, you can build this in using AI as a support. Practice questions. Once again, even for higher grades, we may want more and more practice. You can throw that into AI and it can produce 5, 3, 20 practice questions for you, but just make sure you give it a sample of what you're looking for. Now, I'd like to look at some pro tips. As a parent and you working as a guide for your child with math, here are some important things to keep in mind so that you're not just using AI, but you're using it effectively. Please, I beg you, please let your child try the questions first. Don't jump and assume they don't know how to do it, okay? Always have your child attempt the problem on their own first, using AI when they get stuck, not to start. Secondly, as I mentioned before, but just reiterating, use the AI for you. The best method is for you to get the explanation from AI, then use that knowledge to guide your child. Remember, the prompting and how you prompt is key. The most powerful prompts are not, what's the answer? But can you explain how to get the answer? Use the whys and hows in your prompts to get the best responses. The better the prompt, the better the response. Think about the specifics, the grade level, throwing in an example question so that it knows exactly the level that you're asking for assistance with. And lastly, but very important, you, the parent, are in charge. And please remember, AI can be wrong. Yes, AI can be wrong. So take the time to always review the response for accuracy before sharing it with your child. Just some last tips, helpful resources. Within the DDSB, Gemini is the approved tool for DDSB students to use. And when they are logged in with their student numbers, then they are going to get the premium version of the Gemini and therefore better responses. Education Perfect is another tool that you can use. TVO Mathify, and as mentioned before, Khan Academy and its Khanmigo. These are just some of the helpful tools that are available to your child. If you have questions or concerns about any of these, please don't hesitate to reach out to the math department here at the DDSB. Thank you so much for your time, for listening.
If you enjoyed this video, click the link on screen to see another about education, technology, and generative AI at the DDSB. Or find the playlist in the description below for a list of all videos from our Control Alt Educate series.